And we are
So,
recording. Take it away.
welcome, welcome. I want to introduce you to this magical, amazing woman. Dr. Maluna Fausch has a scientific and intuitive problem-solving perspective because she's coming from years of experience in the 9-to-5 world as a business owner and as a stage performer. This woman has sold everything from Steinway baby grand pianos to magazine advertising. And my wonderful friend, Maluna Fausch, has a BS in music business and a PhD in holistic psychology. And she uses her proven vocal archetypes system to help clients conquer stage fright, clear subconscious beliefs that hold them back, eliminate vocal and physical habits that diminish personal power. That's amazing. And she helps you to increase your confidence, rev up your sales. That's exciting. And polish your verbal delivery in order to connect with your audience, to be effective and engaging. And with her help, you can build a more powerful voice. That's something that I am looking very forward to. A more powerful voice that will allow you to sail through presentations, navigate corporate culture, nail acceptance speeches, and attract better funding. And Miss Maluna is a avid race car driving fan, as I am also.
Yes, we are.
And I just want to say that she is polished and magical. So please take it away, Miss Maluna.
Victoria, thank you. Ladies, thank you. I so appreciate you being here. Victoria, I so appreciate our friendship and road together.
Yes.
First up, why do I do this? Why do I help people achieve vocal power and voice success and oral communication success? It all started when I was a little girl. And I bet you somebody in this room, maybe all of you can relate to this. I was taught as a little girl, sit still, sit down, sit like a lady, be quiet, nobody wants to hear you. And so being a smart little intuitive girl, I did that. You know, you don't want to get in trouble, so you do that. And what I felt was that my voice didn't matter. And so I have spent my whole life finding my own voice and my own journey and still building my own voice. In fact, I still consult with my voice coach in LA from time to time, and I've had many. I overcame years of vocal problems as a singer, as a speaker, mostly because of stage fright and anxiety. And a few years ago, my husband and I were living in Los Angeles, and doctors discovered a tumor about this big right here in my head. Talk about getting focused. When something like that happens, at least for me, and I think that's what happens with most folks who have a wake-up call of any type, you realize you're in trouble. Your life needs to change. Things need to be done differently. I needed to save my life. I needed to take charge of my life. And I ended up, my face was paralyzed. So at that time, I'm in LA. I'm in acting class, and my face is paralyzed. Bit of a problem for a performer, yes? Just a bit of a problem. So I didn't know if I could ever be on camera again. I didn't know if I could perform. I didn't know if I could still be a business person or a musician. Would I be able to speak without a lisp? Because I had a lisp during that period of time. So I went through 2 surgeries. And it's pretty funny because my surgeon, Dr. William J. Slattery III, said, I will only do this surgery because it's going to be about 10 hours you're going to be on the table. That's pretty incredible. And I will only do this if I can bring in my colleague, Dr. Landman. Well, guess who Dr. Landman worked on. Elizabeth Taylor.
Oh, wow.
So I made a joke, and he had not much sense of humor, but I said, if it's good enough for Liz, Dr. Slattery, it's good enough for me. So 3 neurosurgeons were in my head that day. And then 6 months later, I was back because I had an infection. What I know is my body rejected what was put in my head, man-made material to attempt to fill in the spot where the tumor was. So the body has amazing abilities to heal if we get out of the way. And what I found was my voice was stronger afterwards because I started really looking at every area of my life and that my voice did matter, etc., etc. So let's get into the meat, all the yummies of why we're here today and what I promised to share. And
I'm gonna pause you for 1 minute. If you can mute some of the participants, we're just getting a little bit of background and we want to hear all this juicy story.
yes, great idea. We'll mute for the time being. Thank you, Victoria. The first topic that I want to speak about is why your tone and your quality of voice always matter. And here's the issue. We can't hear ourselves. Our little ears are back here and our voices, here's our mouth and here's our speakers. We don't hear ourselves accurately. And so I find a lot of people do not have an accurate picture of their voice or how they're coming across. Or sometimes people will say, well, nobody's ever told me that my voice sounds like that. Well, a true friend will tell you that your voice is holding you back. And I maintain if you record yourself, you'll start to hear some things. And we'll start to hear things that aren't working in our own voice. So I think it's tricky because it's so personal. It's like, oh, it's my voice, right? We're so vulnerable. It's my voice. What's going to happen? But the thing is that if your voice is not powerful and lined up, it's holding you back. In one way or another, it's holding you back. Usually professionally, women are very judged on our voice in the workplace, but also personally. In relationships, as a mother, a voice can do so much. It can stop somebody in their tracks. Heidi will agree with me on this. A voice can help save you. In self-defense class, we were taught to use our voice in a very specific way, not just doing physical things.
Yeah, and isn't your voice, I personally, when someone says something about my voice, I believe I am my voice. That's me. So when someone says something about my voice, I think they're saying something about who I am. Do you find that to be true?
It is, because it's so close to us. It's who we are, yes?
Yes.
And so it's tricky. And of course, there are ways to give feedback so that folks are not hurt and that we understand we can change our voice and we can build it like any other muscle. It's very sensitive ground. And we want to be very mindful of how we talk to people about their voices. It is us. It is how we express. Yeah. And imagine if you couldn't talk or you couldn't speak. It's such a gift. And so I think, great point, Victoria, and I also think most people do not understand the connection between their voice and their success, personally, professionally. When I hear a person speak, I can tell if I want to hear more or if the voice is already kind of hurting my ears because I'm just that sensitive. I can tell if they've suffered an emotional trauma. I can tell if they have command of their voice. Here's a beautiful thing that you may or may not know. Hearing is our first sense. It's the first sense that develops. So what is the first thing that a baby responds to? The sweet sound of mama singing a lullaby. Yes, the voice of mama. And I want to share with you some fascinating history. Now, I come from way back in my undergrad. I was singing opera at that time. And I had the most amazing opera singer who had escaped from Germany, and she was a very famous opera singer in Europe. And she and her husband came here and were conductors and voice coaches. Now, in the old Italian school, and this is applied to singing, but for me, my singing and my speaking voice it is the same voice. I just use them differently. But I hear music in everyone's voice. And in the old Italian school, so brought to you by people like Pavarotti, right? And Italian opera, you know that Italian folks are some of the most passionate in the world, right? The artisans, from opera to Ferraris to Lamborghinis to pasta to beautiful architecture. And here were the requirements for beautiful singing. And I'm going to equal and equate most of this to beautiful speaking as well. The first ingredient was clearness. Are we easily understood? Is there a clarity? Is our voice nice and clear? The second was smoothness. So in opera, you want a smooth voice. In sometimes heavy metal or an R&B, we might want some metallic, we might want some rough stuff, we might want some growling in there. But for opera, we want smoothness. The third ingredient was volume. Do I have an ability to be softer and have you come closer? Do I have an ability to speak louder and connect to the back of the audience? The fourth ingredient was intensity. Do we have dynamics in the voice, or is it kind of a flat line? The fifth was called compass, which is a range of at least 2 octaves. Now, in our speaking range, of course, we don't have 2 octaves. We're more down in the chest register, in the chest resonance. I'll slow down, I get excited, and the throat on vibrate. So we're more working in that lower register when we speak, and that's where we want to be. The sixth ingredient was ease. So is the voice easy to listen to? Even in heavy Wagnerian opera, is it something we want to hear? Is the voice floating on the air, which is, we do this whether singing or speaking. And the last ingredient is endurance. Because if you're going to sing an opera, and I used to do that, you're on stage for hours. Now in jazz, when I did that, you've got a lot of vocal breaks because you've got musicians and all kinds of things. So you're not using your voice that heavy, but you still must develop endurance, stamina. Maybe you do presentations or training for your company. You're going to be up on that stage for a while. You've got to develop a strong vocal mechanism. So the results of the 7 ingredients were effortless, fully sustained, and a beautiful tone. So for me, it's a tone that is pleasing to my ears. Now, how about this? Our health is also compromised when we hold back and do not fully express. For example, if I start to try to drop my voice down and back and I try to hold back my voice, can you hear what happened when I did that? It started to be choked. I started blocking the airflow. And our heart and our soul know when we are out of integrity with our Dharma, our highest purpose, our best service, when we're using our superpowers. And I have had clients who literally come to me with their stomach in knots because they're afraid of speaking. They have stage fright, and they're very aware they are not speaking up. They are holding back, which can cause physical symptoms because they were afraid to speak up. So what I know and have learned is a lot of stress and physical symptoms are caused because we're not communicating well and we don't feel like it's okay to speak up and speak our truth. Just checking the, oops.
I know that Dawn and can you hear me?
Yeah, excuse me. I think I had you muted there for a second, Victoria. Would you say that again, please?
You talked about tone. And Dawn and I were having a little conversation as we were waiting for this to come on. I've had my husband and other people tell me that, you know, my tone, and I don't, like you said, I don't hear it. I don't know that I have this tone. And Dawn was saying the same thing. Can you just talk a little bit more about tone and what is it that in our tone that's coming across, and what do we actually want to come across?
Yes. For me, thinking of those 7 ingredients, right? A tone would be a voice it's 50% air and 50% tone. A pleasing tone to me is it sounds like they're comfortable in their own voice. It's at the appropriate pitch. And we're going to talk about that more later, the appropriate pitch. It doesn't sound choked. It doesn't sound like it's going back and down. I'm not down on my chords like this. I'm not nasal and metallic and brassy like this, which I cannot stand to hear. So it's an ability to breathe and allow the air to be fully used. I always want to ask people to think of your voice as coming up and out, as if it were coming this way. So your chest is resonating, your throat's on vibrate, but your voice is coming from the top of your mouth. There's actually a destination. So if we're in an audience or we're in a boardroom, everyone is included in that energy or destination. So it's a matter of recording ourselves and starting to hear the tonality that we're using. And then, of course, getting help, right? Getting a coach that can give us feedback on what it sounds like, how to change and build that voice so that it's more attractive. Now, for women, we're judged if we have too high of a pitch. And I hear a lot of women over 50, older than me, with little girl voices. Some of them had emotional trauma. Some of them were raised by their father. So from a metaphysical point of view, it's a daddy love me voice, that little girl voice, which is not appropriate for an older woman. And we tend to tune it out. So in the workplace, men are not comfortable with that. It's too high pitched. It's like a little girl who would listen to a little girl in the boardroom. And so it's something we really want to be aware of, because we are judged as women. In the Western culture, we like a lower pitch. So it's a depth and a richness. Does that answer the question, Victoria?
Yeah, that's fabulous. And, you know, I don't have any singing experience. So knowing the difference between tone and pitch, I'm excited to hear what else you have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for asking. So I again want to emphasize that our voice is so much more important and impactful than we believe. And for those of you who are like me, you know, raise your hand if you were told, be quiet, be a good girl, we don't care. Anybody? Yeah, we can relate to the 3. Yes. I want you to know, ladies, that your voice does matter. It matters so much. In fact, I want to give you something that might cause you to kind of jar in your seats here. And I don't want to shock you, but I want to tell you something that came to my attention just last week. I was watching IDTV. I know, I love crime drama and solving crimes. There was a rapist and a murderer on this show. And the sheriff who arrested him was a friend. And he said, why on earth did you do this? Because we always want to know, why are you violent? Why would you do this? And the man said, I never learned to communicate. And I never learned how to express my anger. And I just feel like people are just always putting me down and beating me up. And I just can't defend myself. And I don't know how to speak. And I just got so angry. I guess that's why I did it. Wow. I thought, oh my gosh. Does that sound crazy? Yes, it's pathological. But it's something to think about. What if your ability to speak up and speak your truth and hold your ground and make your point is so important that it stops violence, because I believe it does. It brings tears to my eyes, but I was just hit me upside the face when he said that. A lack of communication goes far deeper than we might understand. So I want you to really feel the depth of what I just said about how important your voice is. Subject today, how to voice a better sales conversation from the heart. This is what Victoria's supposed to do. How to sell better. So this is key. This is a key ingredient. Now, I'm just going to talk about this a little bit. It's very simple. Now, the voice techniques I use, I wouldn't say they're easy, but they are simple. And most salespeople don't spend the time to do this. So here's what I'm going to say about this. You must know why you're there. You have to know the insides of your product or your service, why you're there. Be able to communicate this clearly. And then, of course, on the other side is that you are a great listener. You must listen to your client or your customer and then reflect that back. Use their words. I love to repeat in their words. This is what I heard you say. Reinforce their values and then determine if you have the solution to their problem. So that's a simple way of really getting behind your sales conversation and starting to pull apart. Is my why big enough? Is my message clear enough? Is my voice lined up with my message? And then put on those amazing ears and listen and reflect back using their words, their values. And can you help them? You may be just the person with the product or service they have been waiting for.
And Maluna, that is something that you said, that our very first sense is hearing. And what most of us didn't get as children, we were told to be quiet, right? So we were never heard. And when you aren't heard, you also don't feel seen. So when you say, reflect back to your client, this is what I heard you saying, use their words. You are letting them know that you heard them, you see them. And just that energy is going to want them to step closer to you, do business with you, talk to you further, because with all the distractions in the world right now, yes. What does it feel like when someone's actually listening to us and we feel heard? So thank you for sharing that. I think that's huge.
Oh, my pleasure. You're so right, Victoria. Right now, as you mentioned, in the current situation, we don't feel acknowledged or heard.
Right.
And so it's so incredible when we actually are, that some folks are actually uncomfortable. Have you noticed that? It's like, oh, she really heard me. Yeah, I really did. And this is the place that I believe we want to create in this world, where each voice matters. So when there's a boardroom and there's a company, everyone is represented. So the man is represented, the female is represented, the native peoples are represented, the spiritual guru, I don't really like that word, but let's say the spiritual master is represented, the environmental lady is represented. I could go on and on. Everyone has a seat at the table and everyone is heard.
Yeah.
So that we solve problems truly from not just financial capital, but social capital, environmental, spiritual, in honor of every living thing on the planet. And of course, my part is you finding your voice to do that.
Yes. So in talking about being heard, shall we ask our listeners, do they have any questions or do they have any comments? We want to hear from them also. We would love them to engage.
Yes, let me unmute before we go into the next topic here. And who has a question, a comment, wants to share?
And if you
Your turn.
go to the bottom of your screen, it says participants. You can click on that and you can, I believe you can raise your hand.
Anybody have a question? No? Looks like we want it. Do you want to hear more?
Yep.
Shall we party on? Oh, all right. Thank you.
Awesome.
We'll go back to mute. And then Victoria, you can do your magic when you jump back in with me. So here's more of the demo part, right, of this webinar. I'll demonstrate some things. So here are what I call the 5 deadly habits that are costing you money and sales and credibility. So the first habit, or this is more of a belief, this goes even deeper than a habit, but of course when we believe something, then our habits become ingrained. And sometimes folks say to me, well, it's just my voice feels natural that way. Yes, because you've been doing it that way 30 years. So it's a habit, it's natural, it's not ideal. There's a big difference between natural and correct, flowing, and in alignment. So let's clarify the meaning of that. So the first thing is again, not taking your voice seriously and not understanding the way you verbally communicate is huge. I don't know if you keep seeing those reports on LinkedIn that 100,000 people in the San Francisco Bay Area do not have the oral communication skills necessary to be promoted to management or leadership. They just don't have the skills. Also, part of that belief is not understanding that you can train your voice. And of course you can. It's like muscles. Once you understand how the voice works, the musculature around it, the anatomy, and you understand what you can do to help that voice come out, come forward, increasing depth and resonance and richness and hugging people with your voice, setting an intention. I always train my people to set your intention before you speak. Are you here to educate? Are you here to inspire? Are you here to get money? Heidi and I might be raising money for Love Never Fails. It may be a combo. You're here to motivate and be seen and make an influence and make an impact for your company. But always set your energetic and your intention way before when you're crafting your speech. This helps you get clearer and clearer on the purpose of your speech. Now, number 2, I promised to share more about the tone of voice. So I demonstrated a little bit. Some people speak down on their cords. So if you can hear me, I am now riding down on my vocal cords. So now I don't have any room to do it. I felt my body just kind of sink. And of course, that's not healthy. Your vocal cords or folds, they fold under, so it's actually more anatomically correct to say vocal folds, but you'll usually hear vocal cords. They join in the front, so they open in the back, and of course the air opens. So some people, if your soft palate is down, so now you can see my voice went down, or if I have too much nasal resonance, that's a tone that we don't really want to hear. Maybe only in the case of a comedian, yes, or a voice actor. So we want to open up the voice by using more air, dropping the jaw, lifting the soft palate, and that creates more of an acoustic chamber, which will produce more richness. So those are just a couple ways to open up that tone. Sometimes I hear just a flat line, right? Monotone voice, no emotion, no emotional IQ. Who wants to hear that? I'm done with that after about 2 minutes. We don't connect with that voice at all. It doesn't inspire your audience. It doesn't connect. You're not connecting with your people. How can anybody hear when you're flatlining and you have no interest? We have no interest either. And when you sing, you realize that when you feel the emotion of your song, guess what? So does your audience. So when you're on fire about your purpose and you're speaking on your stage, promoting your business or promoting your company, and you're on fire about it, we're on fire about it. That's that heart connection. So there's also the volume that I spoke about. Some people are just, the pitch is, and we'll speak, I'll go back to pitch in a second. So they're too soft. And so if I have to continue to lean in to hear somebody who refuses to speak up, guess what? I'm becoming exhausted. And so when folks won't use the mic, you know, all the folks, oh, I'm loud enough, I can project my voice, I won't use the microphone. Please use the microphone. You don't know if someone in the audience has a hearing challenge. You don't know if they have hearing aids. You don't know. Respect your audience. Use the microphone. Learn to use, easy for me to say, learn to use the microphone well and beautifully. It will help you amplify your voice with less effort. It is a beautiful thing. And microphones have come a long way, right? You can have the lavalier, you can have all kinds of things now with microphones. It's not always a handheld. But see, a handheld also gives you a prop and helps you focus more on your message and less on yourself. So that can also be a wonderful thing. So first of all, the habit of not taking our voice seriously or the belief. The second is your tone. Third is the pitch. So when we're afraid or we're running, did you hear what happened to my pitch? It went way up higher, went up. If we're anxious, we go up. If we're not comfortable, our pitch goes up. And so now I'm ineffective because my pitch went up, my emotion came through my voice, especially if I'm with men, they now can't hear me. So if I pause and I take a breath, get back down in my body, because my voice is my instrument, my whole body is my instrument as a vocalist. If I simply pause, get centered in my body, take a breath, you heard my voice went back down to the appropriate pitch. Because when we go high, we might be misinterpreted, it might be misinterpreted as we're angry. And even if we're not angry, Victoria and I have spoken about that, it might be passion. You might just be a really passionate type A person. But it could be misinterpreted as we get labeled as too emotional, or we're angry, or it signals to our audience, oh, she's not comfortable now. Oh, her voice went up. What just happened here? So if you're in a high stakes setting, let's say you're negotiating for a raise for yourself or a multi-million-dollar deal, you're going to want to maintain a more even pitch. I'll do it for the camera, more even pitch, which signals I'm in charge, I'm confident, I know what I'm doing. And if you also notice, my pitch slowed down. Most super powerful people can really slow their, the pace, I said pitch, their pace down as well. So now I'm letting you know I have the confidence to slow down my pace. The fourth killer verbal habit, filler words. I could say a lot about this. I have so many, but I'm going to pick on the one that I hear the most. Are you ready? Like. Oh, like I went to the mall. I used to hear this when I lived in Southern California. We came from the East Coast, and I said to my husband, oh my goodness, Valley girls do exist. I could not believe that way of speaking. It was fascinating. It's folks who use like every third word. Oh, like Victoria, like I'm gonna go shopping. Oh, like I did that thing and it was like going to the thing. Oh, like I stop with the filler words. We have so much more vocabulary. We use so many more words. There are so many more words that we could use. Let me put it that way. So I want you to be mindful of the filler words, especially if you have gotten into the habit of like. Like. It actually means a metaphor or as if. So try, let me use a different word. I don't like try. Practice using different words. Look up in the thesaurus, words that mean the same as like. You have so much more vocabulary and intelligence than to continue to use the word like. Number 5, and I had the opportunity, probably some of you have noticed that when you're going to share or teach about something, then you get an opportunity to see it right in front of your face. Am I right? So there I was on the Caltrain last week, riding into the city to work with a client, and the train was full. We're in rush hour, and there was a young man right here and a lady here speaking about their startup. Good-looking young man, tall. I expected his voice to be something other than what it was. So first, people see us, right? And they're judging and labeling. Secondly, the voice comes out. And here's what it was. He wrote on his vocal cords the whole time. So as we're doing our company and we're talking about it, that hurts me to even do that. His conversation never left his vocal cords. This is a habit that's going to hurt. It actually hurts your cords to do that. It fatigues them. They swell, they have inflammation. So just from an anatomy, a vocal health and longevity point of view, this is a very bad habit. It makes us sound lazy. Now, I can promise you that that young man is not lazy. He's not lazy. It makes us sound disinterested, or maybe like we're not too sharp, right? We're not too intelligent, because he was down on his cords the whole time. Everything he said never left that vocal dynamic. Crazy, right? So those are the 5 deadly habits. The first, not taking your voice seriously or having a belief that it doesn't matter or that you can't change it, grow it, build it. The second is that tone of voice, developing a more pleasing, rich tone of voice that people want to hear, so that you're bringing them in, not repelling them. The pitch, so that it's appropriate, it's not too high, it's not down on the cords. Filler words like, and riding on your vocal folds for hours at a time. Woo! I apologize to my vocal cords for doing that. Who has questions?
So I'll ask a question that some of the others might be thinking about.
Yes.
You have this training, so you know about your palate or writing on the cords, or some of that I'm not familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm going to go out and speak, whether it's on stage or in a little while I have a discovery call with a client,
Nice.
or I'm going into a meeting, whatever it might be, what can I do beforehand so that I have a better idea of where is my voice, where is it coming from? Are there any of those 5 deadly mistakes that I'm doing, and how do I recognize it and shift it?
Yes, yes. Let me teach you just a few simple tips, practice things that I want you to work with at home, things to do to prepare you. And you can do it in the morning. As you said, you want to do it before a call, before an important sales meeting, before the executive board meeting. Really anytime, before a date, right? If you want to impress your date, this goes across every area of our life. So you can record yourself You can video yourself also. You can, of course, I'm going to say hire a coach, right? Someone to give you accurate feedback on how you're sounding. So the first thing, I want you to sit up very tall with me, very, very, very tall. That's right. We're on our computers all day. We're like this. So I want you to open up. I want you to open that chest. And I want you to soften the lower belly. Now, we don't have time to talk about the breathing in the lower belly. That's, I've spent my whole life learning that, right? So we'll do that. We'll do the hacks, the things that get you there quickly. So you're softening that lower belly, but your ribs and your chest are up. So I'm supporting my entire vocal mechanism. My lower belly is soft, and I'm actually breathing from there, sending that air all the way through my diaphragm, my lungs, going all the way through my voice box. It has a long journey. Plus your air goes this way in your head. It is the most amazing thing, your voice and your body. And then as I started with this, your speakers. That's why I'm in love with the voice. It's unique to you. You've got your own built-in resonance speakers. So now, relax the jaw. Now my jaw opens asymmetrical because of my surgery, so you won't model me because I am crooked. So your jaw will probably go straight down as opposed to mine, which goes a bit sideways. You can look in a mirror and see your beautiful self. And now, in order to lift the soft palate, because we don't know where that is, I'm going to have this sensation that I have to yawn. So it's almost like your eyes lift a little bit. Did you feel like the cheeks lift a little bit? And it's that feeling right before you yawn. And in fact, if you do it well, you'll need to yawn. So go ahead and do that. It's one of the best warm-ups for the voice. So I just open that voice more. And if you're breathing and sending that air, and now imagine sending that air through beyond the camera. All of us have our cameras on the computer. So I want you to give your eyes a laser focus. Laser focus your eyes. Now we're going to direct the voice to follow the eyes. And you have a destination point. So send your voice beyond the camera to the opposite, to a corner or the end of the wall, whatever you're facing, so that your voice has a destination point. And by doing that, it helps us think up and forward. Most people speak down and back. Do you hear the difference? My voice, I let it drop, it went down. Or some people, it literally goes backwards. They're down in their throat and it's ow. It's always a forward and upward energy and motion. And now think of your favorite color, and it may change every day or it may remain the same. And I want you to imagine, because this is literally what's happening, on an oscilloscope, you would see the sound waves. All of you seen this. Or you can imagine the wave of the ocean. This is a sound wave, wave of the water, ocean. And so the air is coming up and out, and your voice is literally on top of that air. So imagine your voice is this beautiful color, and here it comes. And it rides on top of the airwaves. Isn't that fantastic? So maybe you're seeing yourself as green. Might be blue, might be yellow, could be red, it might change. And you can imagine a color, you can create an energy. Some people are more visual than others. Whatever works for you in the way that you learn. But imagine the wave of the ocean, the sound wave, the color. And so now I'm simply ready. So we start with the feet. So ground your feet. My German opera coach that I mentioned said, you must sing from your feet. Took me years to understand what she meant. What she meant was be grounded in my body and be willing to be big on stage. So ground your feet to Mama Earth. Your lower belly's soft, your ribs and your chest are lit. The girls are up. In fact, you can feel the ribs expand all the way around. It's an expansion 365 around. You're letting go of any holding in the body, because some of us are so stressed out, we're always holding something, including our breath. And now I drop the jaw. I lift my soft palate by imagining the openness of a yawn. And my voice is kind of oblong, so it's egg-shaped. I've got my eyes laser focused. My voice has a destination point. And now I'm going to speak. So that is the way to begin to understand your voice at a free level, at an open level, at an aligned level. And you always want to use all your air. I know when I was a kid, I had asthma, so I learned to kind of hold my air because I was terrified I wouldn't get another one. Some of you might relate to that. But just know that the breath is your very life, your very divinity. So when you speak, you want to use all of the air. And then you relax, you take the next breath, and out it comes on the next breath. So use all of it. Don't hold it. Don't hold your breath. Don't hold back. Don't hold your voice. Use all that air. Take the next breath, and here comes your next thought. So if you practice just being that aware of your body, your voice, 12 minutes a day, 13 minutes, we know that 12 to 13 minutes of focus, meditation, quiet time, prayer, whatever you might say, changes the chemistry in the brain. So everything has changed, as well as your brain has registered. Oh, I'm going to create a new habit here. I'm going to start thinking about my voice in an entirely different way. Yay! Good job! You should feel taller. You should feel more air expansion, more powerful, maybe wider. Anybody feel differently now?
Yes. You know, when I am speaking, or even in everyday conversation, whenever I'm engaging with someone, I always think of my heart open and I send out energy from my heart, and it's love energy, and I give it a color. But what I got was my voice can ride with that energy, with that color, and I've never thought about my voice in that way. So not only am I sending love from my heart, but it's coming through my air. My, breathing is inspiring, inspiration, right? So I'm sending out my spirit, my love, my heart, my voice on this color as I'm going along. And, that one tip just transformed how I think about myself and my voice, and I was able to add it to a practice that I already do. So I can't imagine if somebody was working with you and they got more than one tip, how their whole business, life, relationships, health, all of that would change. So can you tell us a little bit more about how we would engage with you?
Thank you, Victoria. What a beautiful connection you made. It's the gift of your voice. Yes, it's the gift of your voice. And thank you. That was, I had visuals when you said that. That was beautiful. Because it is our gift. It is you and your voice. And only you have your voice. Only you have a very unique. How many people are on the planet now? 7.3 billion. Your voice is unique within billions of people on this planet. So, you know what? I call myself a voice success strategist, because communication, great communication for people who really care, is an art and a science. And so what I bring with my people is creativity, right? I love working with clients on different ways to say things. And so a lot of what I do is suggest it. I might say, Heidi, let's say this way. How's that feel? Okay, let's say it this way. Let's say it this way, using different words, a different way of constructing the sentence. And then the client gets to choose which one is their voice, which one flows out with the smoothness, the ease, most authentic to them, and how they would say it. So that's what a great coach consultant does in my book. So we might work on your voice. We might work on your presentation skills, your pitching, because baby, life's a pitch. We are always pitching something, always, always, always selling something. It may be, do you need strategies for the boardroom? Some of my clients, we just rehearse and rewrite and edit their presentation or their speech to be effective with management, with the boss, with the board of directors. So there's a couple things I want to offer you. One thing is I'm part of a woman's initiative. So the first offering is if you're in corporate or you know of someone who leads talent, HR, a chief people officer, we can come into the companies and put in place a woman's initiative or improve the one that's there. We do this with apps, personal apps for every woman to balance their life with professional skills, personal skills. And then we can bring in trainers like myself, depending on the needs of the company. So that's one thing. I'm looking for introductions to corporate folks and groups of women to help women be in the leadership roles and running companies like we know they need to be. Secondly, all you have to do is go to my website, milunafausch.com. Now I can type, can you type that in the chat room, Victoria, or do I have to do that? Okay. I've got you. Oh, thank you. So I'll have her type that in. I think all of you know how to spell my name, but it is funky. I created Miluna. And you'll see where you can schedule a complimentary call. So you just simply schedule a complimentary chat strategy call at your convenience. And then we'll talk about what's your voice doing for you? What is it not doing for you? How's it holding you back? And we'll determine if one of my coaching programs is the key to taking you from where you are to where you want to be.
I love that. Sales is something that runs through my blood. And I love helping women with sales because women, when they are successful and they are getting more clients, they have something special that they're sharing with other people. So they're changing the world. They're changing lives. And in order for us to be our best, we want to reach more people. We want to send out that energy of love. We want to send out that color out into the world. And I had never thought about my voice in that way before. My voice is unique in billions of people. Oh my God. And so are our gifts and talents.
Yes.
And what we do. And if we can be more powerful with our voice, with coming across from a place of love. I know that when I get really passionate about something, a lot of people think that my tone changes, and sometimes they think I'm yelling at them. So, and my husband has said that to me before, and it's like, no, I'm passionate. But if I'm so passionate about something, but how someone is receiving that isn't how I would like them to, and I work with you and I change just a few things, oh my God, my whole entire business, my whole entire life, my whole entire world will open up, just like you said, the chest, the airways, you know, your energy, and then you're giving from your uniqueness, who you are. So that's why I love what you do. I think it's so important.
Thank you.
So we have a couple ways of connecting with you. Going to your website, and anything else?
There's also a free report on my website. So you can certainly sign up to get that report, and then you'll get my e-news, my Pitch Perfect news. I send that out 2 to 3 times a month, because who has time for this daily email stuff? I'll send you an e-news 2 to 3 times a month with a video tip and the news about things I'm doing, like this webinar with Victoria, any kind of specials that I'm offering. I share that with my VIP insiders first. So that's another option too, that we can stay connected. So
and what if someone knows they want to have a conversation with you? What if they know that they have something they want to work on? What is the best way to actually set up a conversation? Is it going through your website?
Yeah, that's to book that strategy call right on my website. You'll see the little pop-up. It says schedule or let's talk, and they go right in there and choose a convenient time. There's a little drop down. It'll say complimentary strategy call.
Perfect.
Easy. You'll get that booked. You'll get a text and an email, and off we go.
Well, we're almost at time. Thank
Okay.
you so much. Do we want to check in one more time, see if anybody else has any questions or comments?
Yeah. Make sure everyone's unmuted. I so appreciate you being here. Who has a question in our final 2 minutes?
I think Heidi and Dawn are still muted. They might need to unmute themselves, or there we go.
I don't really have a question.
Okay.
I don't have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yay,
Oh,
we can
great.
hear you.
Okay. This is Debbie. Thank you so much. I thought the information was great.
My pleasure. Thank you. I so appreciate you being here, all of you.
And I'm also trying to get more involved with the Love Never Fails. Emily's part of our polka dot group. So I've been working with Emily.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I have the honor and pleasure of being the MC for the Love Never Fails fundraiser coming up February 23rd.
Yes, I'm going to see if I can make it to that a little bit later, because I'm actually helping Victoria that day.
Yes.
And you know I'm going to be with Victoria that day as well.
Oh, so maybe we could jump on over to the next event.
Maybe, yes, absolutely. Because she and Gary have that amazing training on creating a dream life. So yes, I will be there for that incredible workshop as well.
Good. I'm excited about that.
Right? Work, play, all of it.
Yes.
And there's Dawn. Dawn, do you have any questions, comments?
It was great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
It has been my pleasure. All right, I'm going to stop the recording, and then we'll say our